Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4. Danica Lewis in for Susan today. Welcome to you.
Yeah, thanks very much. And yeah, Susan's still taking one for the team here on the morning show.
On the morning show. I think things will return to normal next week, I believe.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
All right, here's what's making news on this Wednesday. Republicans storm a meeting today, something Democrats say could be a security breach. Meanwhile, the White House says testimony from a top foreign official was a, quote, smear campaign.
We'll have more on that. And the Marquette Law School poll is showing how Wisconsinites feel about the Democratic presidential candidates, as well as that ongoing impeachment inquiry.
And a new housing project for veterans is expected to be the largest of its kind in the country.
All right. First, though, let's take a look outside. A beautiful fall day out there.
It really was picture perfect.
It just was gorgeous. I really didn't want to come to work today. Yesterday was because I wanted to nap all day, and today is I just wanted to be outside. Cooler but dry are your weather words, and Dave Caulfield out in that cooler but dry weather right now. Dave, how's it going?
Well, Danica, the clouds have increased over the course of this afternoon in advance of a quick low pressure system on the way. It will bring us some showers later this afternoon into the evening hours. On Doppler track, we could see the first semblance of showers making their way into southwestern Wisconsin. Some very light rain showing up across Crawford and Grant County. That batch of showers will continue to move in. In fact, we're looking to the west right now on the WISC-TV Skycam in Madison. You could see those clouds on the increase. So the sunshine that we had this morning, not going to be around for all that much longer. Temperatures are in the mid-50s in Madison and in Janesville, Monroe as well. Low 50s in Mineral Point, in the 40s closer to where that batch of rain is. Wind speeds are not too bad today, pretty light out of the south at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Temperatures will continue to fall through the 40s as we head into this evening, and especially as that rain gets a little bit closer. We'll need the umbrella this evening, but as we get closer to the midnight hour, I think we'll start to see those skies clear as some high pressure moves in. Now, let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. Verona Road and Raymond Road not looking too bad right now. As we take a look at our traffic map in Dane County, no major accidents or incidents popping up. Traffic generally heading out at the posted speeds, although we are starting to see a few brake lights on the eastbound Beltline, as you might expect for this time of afternoon. Verona Road eastbound to John Nolan, that'll cost you 8 minutes with an average speed right around 35 miles per hour. Some other routes in and around Madison, very slow right now southbound the Beltline to Janesville because of some work on the interstate there. Average speed of around 35 miles per hour. That'll cost you about an hour, so plan accordingly for those delays. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll talk about that cooler and drier air on the way and a very cool end to the month of October in your first alert forecast.
Count on me, Dave. As soon as I say things are going to be cool and dry, they're cool and like slightly damp. At the very least. Yeah, what are you going to do? Yeah. Thanks, Dave.
Testimony from a Pentagon witness was delayed after House Republicans stormed the room where the closed-door impeachment proceedings are being held.
Nicole Killian has more on Capitol Hill.
Protests from dozens of House Republicans delayed the testimony of Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense Laura Cooper in the impeachment inquiry against President Trump.
We came today to express our strong outrage at what's happening in that secret room.
Democrats accuse Republican House members of witness intimidation.
We did all we could to get the witness out to make sure that the witness was protected and not affected by these tactics.
Before leaving the White House for Pennsylvania, President Trump tweeted, Republicans are going to fight harder than ever to win back the House because of what the do-nothing Democrats have done to our country. Some Republicans brought their cell phones into the secure hearing room. A committee official said it was a major security breach and called the GOP protest a stunt. The standoff follows dramatic testimony Tuesday from the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, Bill Taylor. In his opening statement, Taylor said he was told everything, including millions of dollars in U.S. security assistance to Ukraine, depended on President Zelensky publicly announcing an investigation related to the Bidens and the 2016 election.
We don't know whether what he said is true or not because of the sham process that's being used.
Well, I guess when the evidence is so clearly presented, the next best option is to criticize about the process.
The White House contests Taylor's testimony as part of a coordinated smear campaign and insists there was no quid pro quo with Ukraine. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
3 House committees sent a letter to the State Department after it failed to comply with a subpoena for documents.
A new Marquette Law School poll out today asked Wisconsin voters recently their thoughts on the impeachment proceedings.
That's right. Eric Franke joins us now with more on the findings from that poll that were released today. Eric.
There was a lot in this
I
poll,
bet there was.
a lot to cover. But what the big headliners here, what it reveals, Mark and Danica, is that still fewer than half of those polled support these impeachment hearings at all. But one thing is clear, the numbers are up drastically from where they were back when the Mueller report was released earlier this year. 799 people were polled. This was taken from October 13th through the 17th. 46% said there is enough cause for the proceedings. 49% said there is not enough cause. A slightly bigger gap is revealed when asked if President Trump should be removed from office. 44% in favor, 51% against removal. While still the majority is against impeachment, that number has shifted about 15 to 20 points against the president since earlier this year.
I think the most important thing is when we asked about whether hearings were justified as of April, only 29% thought they were justified. Now it's 46% say they're justified. There's been a big move in that.
Now, this comes, of course, as the Democrats' impeachment inquiry begins roughly a year now before the 2020 election. Again, this is just one of numerous topics covered in this poll, everything from hypothetical presidential matchups to gun control to chronic wasting disease. All of it covered in this poll, and we have a link to those numbers. If you want to see all of them, we have it posted now on our website, channel3000.com.
They do cover a lot of ground with these.
Fascinating reading.
Yeah, it really is, especially when you look at some of the potential matchups in 2020, and they talk about state issues, gun control, the governor's approval numbers, everything.
Charles will be here tomorrow on Live at 4 to talk about this.
Yep, we'll look forward to that.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
You're welcome.
A deal has been reached to stop the bloodshed in northern Syria. President Trump announced Turkey has agreed to a permanent ceasefire in Syria. The U.S. imposed economic sanctions on Turkey after Turkish troops invaded northern Syria to battle the Kurds. The president had pulled back American forces from northern Syria just prior to the incursion. The president emphasized not all U.S. forces are leaving Syria. A small number will remain to protect oil fields.
It's a very volatile part of the world, but so far it's been pretty amazing what's gone on.
Along the northern border, Turkish and Russian troops will now be patrolling a newly established safe zone. Kurdish forces who helped the U.S. take on ISIS for 5 years will be pushed back. Mr. Trump says only a small number of ISIS fighters have escaped from prisons that were once guarded by the Kurds.
British police have launched a murder investigation after dozens of people were found dead in the back of a semi-truck. Paramedics spotted the truck on an industrial site in the county of Essex, about 25 miles from central London. Police say all the victims were adults except for one teenager. Authorities believe the truck traveled from Belgium and entered the UK on Saturday through a port in eastern England. Police arrested the 25-year-old driver on suspicion of murder.
This is an unimaginable tragedy and truly heartbreaking. I know that the thoughts and prayers of all members are with those who lost their lives and their loved ones.
The bodies were reportedly crammed inside the truck, leading to questions about whether the victims were smuggled in.
A Missouri cattle farmer has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for allegedly shooting and killing 2 brothers from Wisconsin. Police say 25-year-old Garland Nelson of Bramer, Missouri, also burned their bodies and dumped the remains on a manure pile on his property. 35-year-old Nick and 24-year-old Justin Diemel of Shawano County were reported missing in July after failing to show up for their flight back home to Milwaukee. If convicted, Nelson faces life in prison without parole or the death penalty. Right now, he is in jail without bond. Veterans in the Madison area say a new housing complex headed to the city could help alleviate concerns about a lack of housing.
Construction on that property, set to be the largest of its kind in the entire country, is set to start early next year. Rose Schmidt, though, is telling us more about what's being called a one-stop shop for veterans. Rose?
Danica and Mark, this is what Dane County leaders say will be the largest housing and service development for veterans and their families in the nation. All the funding and city and county approvals have been secured now. The Valor on Washington development will be built in the county-owned Mesner property on East Washington Avenue. It'll be a mix of affordable and market-rate housing for families, with veterans getting preference in all 59 units. I spoke with Tim Zekin today, who explained his challenges trying to find housing about 5 years ago, a few years after he got out of the Army.
Due to the fact of being homeless, credit score being low, so forth, housing was very difficult to find on my own, plus having income was very difficult also. So when I did apply for different places, it was very difficult to get any type of housing.
Tim is a peer support counselor for Dry Hooch. That's a local nonprofit for veterans. Dry Hooch will be moving its office and coffee shop space into the first floor of the Valor Project and will be able to provide services to veterans who live in that building, creating a drug and alcohol-free environment. The current building is set to be demolished this year. That will pave the way to break ground and start construction in the spring, and it will hopefully be ready for occupancy by 2021.
Pretty exciting news.
Yep, a lot to come.
All right, Rose, thank you. Well, still to come before, a lot of voters are wondering, following the Russian meddling in the 2016 election, what's being done to prevent it from happening again.
A journalism professor at the UW is here and to tell us what's happening now and what's already been done ahead of next year's presidential election. That's when Live at 4 continues. So if you didn't get a chance to say goodbye to the Yellow Brick Road last week in Milwaukee, we're all getting another opportunity.
Sir Elton John is adding another Milwaukee show to his farewell Yellow Brick Road tour. The Rocket Man will play at the Pfizer Forum on April 28th of next year. Elton John's farewell tour started back in 2018, slated to go until 2021.
That is quite the farewell.
Well, despite an injury-shortened season, Christian Yelich has still been named the National League's top offensive player.
That's right. The Brewers outfielder has been named the NL's Hank Aaron Award recipient for the second straight season. He led the league in batting average, on base percentage, and led the majors in slugging and finished fourth in home runs. Congratulations to him. The Washington Nationals weren't the only big winners during last night's Game 1 of the World Series. All of America won a free taco. That's right. This is through Taco Bell's Steal a Base, Steal a Taco promotion. National shortstop Trea Turner stole second base during the first inning of Game 1 of the World Series, so maybe many more tacos to come. This is the 5th year in a row all Americans have won a free taco from this deal. You can pick up yours next Wednesday. This is October 30th, but it only goes from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Best Buy is helping shoppers make a quick buy.
The retailers will have a free next-day deliveries during the holiday season. The service is available for nearly all customers and includes most items. Heavy items like refrigerators and big screen TVs are among the exceptions. Customers outside of the next-day zone will be given free standard shipping on everything. No membership nor minimum purchase is needed to take advantage of this offer. On Wall Street, stocks were higher following a mixed bag of earnings reports. The Dow Industrials up 45 points, closing at 26,833. The Nasdaq Composite Index added 15, and the S&P 500 was up 8.5. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg testified before the House Financial Services Committee on cryptocurrency today, but lawmakers on both sides of the aisle had other questions for the man behind the social media giant about election security, online privacy, and policing harmful content.
Lawmakers also wanted to know what the social media giant is doing to stop what are known as deep fakes, discriminatory housing advertisements, and also child pornography on that platform. Today's hearing was called to look into Facebook's plan to launch Libra. That's a cryptocurrency the company plans to roll out next year. But lawmakers were concerned about the spread of misinformation among its 2 billion users.
You plan on doing no fact checking on political ads.
Our policy is that we do not fact check politicians' speech.
Zuckerberg also says Facebook will unveil a new news section on its platform this week, supporting what he calls high-quality journalism. Now, with the next Democratic primary debate less than a month away and the 2020 election drawing closer and closer here, election security and interference from foreign countries are front of mind.
Here to tell us what lawmakers are doing to protect the integrity of our elections is UW-Madison journalism professor Young-Mi Kim. Welcome to Live at 4. Thanks for being with us today. Let's start by going back to 2016 when the voter suppression. You're studying that. What are you finding?
Yes, the recent Senate Intelligence Committee report cited one of our studies. The study focuses on Russian election interference in the 2016 presidential elections. We examined the entire Facebook and Instagram ads purchased by the Internet Research Agency, a Kremlin-linked Russian influence campaign operation. We found a systematic voter suppression, which is defined as a strategy that breaks the coalition of the opposition. Russians used 3 types of voter suppression ads on Facebook and Instagram. First, election boycott, so telling people that boycott the election, do not go to the poll today, things like that. Second, third-party candidate promotion. For example, vote for Jill Stein. And third, in-kind candidate attack. For example, attacking Clinton, targeting likely Clinton voters. Interestingly, all of these voter suppression ads targeted non-white and likely Clinton voters. We did not find a single voter suppression ad targeting likely Trump voters or conservative voters. So this study is the first study that systematically examines the voter suppression on digital platforms and provides more nuanced explanations for Russians' anti-Clinton and pro-Trump biases back in 2016 elections.
And there's such a breadth to look at here. I guess my question for you would be, we hear so much about what lawmakers are trying to do, and we hear Mark Zuckerberg giving his sense. What do we do about all of this, or what do we do to protect ourselves?
So since we discovered election interference in 2016 elections, the Congress introduced some bills that would address political campaigns and digital media. Unfortunately, however, we do not have any effective policy that combat against election interference on digital platforms. Now, large tech platforms like Facebook, Google, and Twitter have and implement self-regulatory measures, but they fall short of public expectations. Just a couple of days ago, Facebook took down 750,000 posts on Instagram and Facebook. Those are all posted by the same internet research agency. Wow. So fortunately, my team captured some of the posts before Facebook took down those posts. And then I found exactly the same strategies and tactics. So posing as like a domestic political campaign, attacking like a major Democratic candidate, targeting their likely voters, or just promoting like an election boycott or political cynicism. Sure.
So should we be worried about the 2020 election?
Of course. It's a lot of discussion focuses on content moderation or so-called like a censorship. But I think we need to have like a more conspicuous and clear and comprehensive and consistent transparency measures. What makes digital campaigns different than broadcast campaigns is that digital campaigns, especially promoted messages, showed up to targeted individuals only. This means that investigators, journalists, or researchers, almost like they are not possible to examine those campaigns unless we develop large-scale crowdsource-based, data collection, like my research team did back in 2016 elections. So I recommend more comprehensive transparency measures at every level. So tech platforms need to be more transparent and then share information with like a civil society and the general public. But also Congress need to consider some legislative approaches.
Yeah. A lot of work needs to be done. We have to keep an eye on this. Keep up the good work, Professor.
Yeah,
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
There's more at 4, including a full look at your first alert forecast.
And an organization has a new video out saying the UW-Madison campus is not inclusive and the culture needs to change. We'll share that story at 5.
Take a look at this. Talk about a hole-in-one in a balloon. Ryan Runstad, known as Coach Rusty on Instagram, spent $150 just to pull off this trick shot. He and his team struggled a little with the setup, but once the balloon is inflated, it only takes one quick swing to bust it to smithereens.
Oh, that's not worth it. Come on. It's pretty neat.
It's worth $150, I would think.
I think you could like read a book or
you could read a book.
That's Rusty.
That's classic Rusty, right?
Classic Rusty.
Oh,
Look, now he has a
Rusty.
Halloween costume.
Oh.
It looked like he had a little ghost costume going on there.
That'll get him some more bang for his buck.
There
Now,
you go,
It's
at
not
least
just
a
a broken
twofer.
balloon. Now it's a weather.
I think the setup's more fun to watch.
It's a Halloween costume, not a weather costume.
All right, some rain
boy.
coming in.
Yeah, I have weather on the mind, clearly, because we do have some showers on the way. Moving into southwestern Wisconsin right now, they'll be around this evening. After that, though, dry weather settles in for the rest of this week and for the weekend as well. Your first alert forecast coming up in just a few pops. Good afternoon. I hope you had a really great Wednesday so far. It was a great start to Wednesday with plenty of sunshine, temperatures reaching the lower to middle 50s, but we do have some showers on the way. A quick moving low pressure system is moving in from the west and will provide us some shower chances this evening. I think by about midnight is when these will start to fully move out of southern Wisconsin, but we will need the umbrella for the ride home in many spots across south central Wisconsin. Right now, this rain is pretty light. A lot of it may not even be hitting the ground across southwestern Wisconsin, but we have seen the clouds definitely on the increase in Madison on the Edgewater Skycam over the last couple of hours. But still, today, temperatures made it into the mid-50s, so just a little bit below normal for this time of year. I think those rain chances are the best over the next, we'll call it 5 to 6 hours or so. By the time we get to midnight, will probably be dry, and then dry weather settling in for Thursday and Friday and for much of the weekend as well. There's a small chance of a few showers late Saturday into early Sunday, but I don't think those are really going to affect too many of us, not going to affect too many plans either. Now, and into next week, that's a little bit of a different story as the weather turns much cooler and we could have some rain and snow showers. But check this out, folks. We go from temperatures in the mid-50s on Saturday to highs in the upper 30s by Wednesday. So we're seeing more of these swings that we can come to expect during the transition seasons, spring and fall, being those two. But we're talking very chilly temperatures to end the month of October. Halloween on Thursday, we could be talking about highs only around 40 degrees, and that's about 15 degrees below normal. And it's really looking like 2017 as far as Halloween goes the last 5 years. Last year, we were near 60 degrees on Halloween. More tricks than treats in the forecast, at least this time around, similar to 2017 when we only saw highs in the upper 30s. So for tonight, temperatures in the mid-30s. Showers are coming to an end this evening. Then we'll be partly cloudy and cooler as we start Thursday morning. For our Thursday, highs in the mid-40s. So we will get the sunshine back with us, but it will be cooler overall, with those highs running about 10 degrees below normal tomorrow. So we could see those showers out and about. They should stay relatively light. A downpour or two not out of the question, but really not looking like the most likely scenario. Then as we head into Thursday, starting off in the mid-30s, we will see a few clouds here and there, but still plenty of sunshine. That northwesterly breeze keeping us a little bit cooler for tomorrow. Highs in the mid-40s, starting off in the 20s Friday morning, so keep that in mind. That's going to be a cold start to the day. First time that we will be in the 20s in Madison, at least the chances there, in about 6 months, and then highs in the upper 40s for Madison on Friday. At least we have that sunshine around, so it will feel a little bit better. As far as future track precipitation goes, really not looking like a whole lot from this round of showers, mainly staying light in many spots, about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rain. Could be some locally heavier amounts, especially south of Madison, but really not looking like a major deal. 7 to 10 day forecast showing a major cool down though on the way for the middle of next week. Check that out. Temperatures in the upper 30s and a chance of some rain and snow showers. Yeah, that's a big shift there for sure. On Thursday for Halloween, I think we'll be dry at this point. That's the good news. The not so great news for those that don't want to wear a million layers underneath or over their costume, we'll have to deal with temperatures right around 40 degrees for highs, and then during trick-or-treating time, we'll be in the 30s and even in the 20s for some spots.
That's scary.
Yeah. Boo.
Oh, startled me.
Yeah.
Looks like Saturday's the day for the lawn work.
I think so, yeah.
No excuse.
No excuse.
I have to do
it. Yeah.
All right, Dave, thank you. Well, the holidays are approaching, and just in time for gift shopping, Good Housekeeping magazine announced the winners of its annual Best Toy Awards.
Laura Podesta went to the toy lab to speak to the young researchers who made those decisions.
Wearing lab coats and carrying file folders, these kids are getting ready for a day of work and play.
When they told you that you're going to be a toy expert, what did you think?
I thought, like, wow. Look at that.
Each year, Good Housekeeping deploys a team of junior experts to test out hundreds of toys.
It's just really, like, squishy.
It's like a mix between gel and Play-Doh.
Yeah.
The toys are ranked for creativity, educational value, and safety.
Continued play.
We returned a few months later to see what toys rated the best.
The first one up is Mr. Potato Head Moving Lips.
A classic.
It's a classic reinvented.
Good Housekeeping's chief technologist, Rachel Rothman, says with a moving mouth and more than 40 songs and phrases, Mr. Potato Head scored high for educational value.
Another really great one is from Crayola, this spin and spiral art station.
It costs $20 and allows 2 kids to play at the same time, plus there's no need for batteries. And this mini robot that teaches coding is speaking kids' language.
Are you ready to code? We're teaching kids as young as 3 how to code, and they're not even realizing it.
Playthings with 4 wheels also scored high, like this Transformer Batmobile. All the winners, which range in price from $17 to $200, have a kid's seal of approval. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
We didn't have all that cool stuff when I was a kid.
Some of it is like a new version of what we
that
had,
Mr. Potato Head, I want one of those.
I know, that's really funny. And the little swirly art thing, that seemed familiar too, just
lucky kids.
With all the bells and whistles now.
Sticks in a rock. Still to come at 4, raising awareness to stop the stigma of mental illness.
That's right. It is a project CBS News is tackling, and we will find out what one young student is doing to battle the stigma. That's when Live at 4 continues.
This is in your
Baltimore.
Your hometown.
Yeah, National Aquarium action. I'm digging it. Thank you, producer Matt.
What are we looking at?
Just big old jellyfishes, I guess.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Well, mental illness affects millions of people in the United States, but it's a topic that can be challenging to discuss.
We've tried to tackle this. CBS News is now raising awareness to try to stop the stigma nationwide. Tom Hansen has one young woman's story.
Cecilia McGuff was diagnosed with schizophrenia in college.
I thought that I was not only losing my mind, but also my future as well.
For years, she says she hid her condition because of the stigma, so she started the group Students with Schizophrenia to raise awareness.
As a student who hallucinates and struggles with a certain level of paranoia and has a diagnosis of schizophrenia, I realized that there wasn't very much support on college campuses.
Cecilia is among the 60 million adults and adolescents living with a mental health condition in this country. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, some of the most common conditions include anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Conditions like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia are less common.
Only about 4 in 10 adults who experiences a mental health condition gets treatment. That means 6 out of 10 are going without any kind of treatment.
While rates of mental health conditions are fairly steady, rates of anxiety and depression in children and adolescents are rising, and suicide rates in nearly all age groups are at the highest levels in 30 years.
We're not getting people the kind of care that they need in time. One thing everybody should be aware of is that treatment works, and there's no shame in reaching out for help. We have effective medications, we have great therapies, and we have important peer supports.
Cecilia's organization has launched more than 60 chapters around the country.
I would want people to realize that we are people first before our diagnosis. I'm more than my hallucinations, I'm more than the paranoia. And also to get away from this myth that people with schizophrenia are a danger to society.
She hopes education will stop the stigma around mental illness. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
To learn more about mental health and to find resources, go to www.nami.org. That's the website of the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Wisconsin has its own chapter. Madison's chapter is actually one of the first in the country.
Really?
Yeah, Dane County's chapters.
Very active.
Very active, great resource, and there's a ton of them out there that NAMI can put you in touch with.
Lots of resources.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, still to come at 4, we're going behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs.
We are checking in out, that is, a new sports sedan. And you'll never guess what car it actually is. We will find out. We got a clue there from the steering wheel, but we'll find out for sure when we come back.
Good afternoon. Here's your first alert traffic update. No major accidents or incidents to report across Dane County, but we are seeing that normal volume start to really pile up on the Beltline in both directions. So pretty slow right now, right around Park Street, and we're really starting to see those delays on the eastbound side. So westbound John Nolan to Verona Road, 7 minutes right now to get through the entire Beltline. You'll need 26 minutes with an average speed of around 35 miles per hour, and the delays close to Janesville continue to pile up, now basically an hour from the Beltline to Janesville with an average speed of around 30 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. Speaking of cars, the 46th Tokyo Motor Show opens this week with plenty of futuristic technologies. Check that out. Getting in and out of the Suzuki should be a snap with that side door there. One of Nissan's big reveals is its newest compact commuter, the IMK. It's a fully electric vehicle equipped with a wide prism screen, which was created to be easy to see. The inside of the car is extremely minimalistic, with the steering wheel being the only real physical control. The show opens tomorrow and runs until November 4th. Pretty cool there.
It is.
When you think of sports sedans, though, you probably think of brands like Audi, BMW, and Mercedes-Benz.
All of those cars are going to set you back some big bucks, but there is a surprising alternative to the Germans. Let's go behind the wheel with Harvey Briggs to find out what it is. It's red.
Yes.
Has red brakes.
Red brakes, right?
Big grille.
Yep.
Big wing.
A big wing on the back. You've got these black, large tires.
Got a sports car here, huh?
Yeah.
What?
A Camry.
A what?
A Camry. It's the Toyota Camry TRD, which stands for Toyota Racing Development. And they have taken the quintessential family car and put a performance spin on it.
And this Camry TRD is more than flashy trim, and its supersonic red paint with two-tone midnight black metallic roof. The Toyota racing team actually turned this Camry into a real sports sedan. There's a 301 horsepower V6 under the hood, and it doesn't stop there.
You've got bracing under the chassis here to make it stiffer. You've got more aggressive anti-roll bars front and rear. You've got stiffer springs front and rear. We drove these back to back with standard Camrys down in Texas. They did a launch program down there. And they had this little autocross course, so we were driving through the cones. And this thing really turns a lot better than the standard Camry.
This Camry also sounds like a sports car. And then there's that wing on the back. And you asked the engineers about this.
I did. I was at an event, and they said, I asked them, I said, how much downforce does this add? And they said, we're not saying. So I'm not sure how functional it is, but it makes it look just a little sportier. And you've got these snappy red seatbelts, so it must be a performance car.
It must be. There's red trim.
Red trim, you know, you got a leather-wrapped steering wheel. You've got sport mode here.
Paddle shifters.
Paddle shifters, so, you know, you can pretend you're on the Formula One circuit. You're not going to confuse it with a BMW M4 or a, Mercedes AMG, but for a mainstream family sedan, the performance of it is pretty darn good.
It's a third of the price of those.
Exactly. You can get this thing. The base price on this is just a little over $30,000, and there really aren't any option packages available on it. You get this TRD the way they make it.
So that means no nav, no fancy radio, no sunroof, some safety stuff. This is more about performance, isn't it? Comes down to the question of why.
Why do anything, Mark?
Why make this car?
No, why make this car? And it was funny, I asked that question as well, and they said, we wanted to see what would happen.
This is what happened.
The chairman of the company, Akio Toyoda, said a few years ago, I don't want to be known for making boring cars anymore. And so they've really tried with their styling, with the engineering, with the performance of the engines to make things that are more on the fun side.
And this is fun.
Yeah, it is. It's a fun sedan. And, it may seem like an oxymoron to have a performance Camry, but this is a performance Camry, and it's a pretty darn good performance car. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's kind of fun to drive.
It's a Camry.
That's fun to drive.
A Camry that's fun to drive.
I know, you're really poking the bear there. He's just trying to make a case for the car.
Toyota's only going to make 6,000 of these things, and they expect to sell out pretty quickly. They're also giving this TRD treatment to their big luxury sedan, the Avalon. Harvey thinks that makes even less sense, but they're doing it, as they say, because they can.
Well, I mean,
it's a good car.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the whole oxymoron of a Camry being a sports sedan.
Exactly.
But they did a good job.
Totally get it.
Harvey, thank you. Go to ridesanddrives.com for more information. We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.
We roll playback. 3, 2.
Rain is moving in. It's raining in some places already.
Yeah, so about 10 or 15 more minutes until we start to see some raindrops in Madison as this batch of showers moves in from the south and west. It's pretty light right now, and I think it will remain pretty light for most of us. A downpour, too, can't be ruled out this evening. We can actually see that rain off in the distance looking west on our WISC-TV Skycam in Madison. It's fun when you can prove that you're not just, spinning tails here. We're talking
You were worried about this forecast at noon.
A little bit, yeah, but
You got it.
a little bit of worry goes a long way when trying to be accurate. But temperatures are in the mid-30s later tonight, so basically to start tomorrow morning, we're off to a chilly start. As the rain moves out later this evening, will be partly cloudy and cooler. Then for tomorrow, highs only in the mid-50s, that would be nice, mid-40s, but we should see a good amount of sunshine, especially by tomorrow afternoon, and plenty of sunshine this weekend as well.
Good looking weekend.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Dave. And tomorrow here on Live at 4, we'll find out what's going on in the 608 this weekend.
Plus, Mark's going to take a tour of the new Hamill Music Center opening up on the UW-Madison campus. It is a beaut.
It is spectacular.
All right, we'll see that tomorrow, and we'll be right back.
In today's final touch, it's enough of an accomplishment to finish a half marathon.
It's an even bigger deal for an 11-year-old to finish the 13.1-mile race.